This is episode 218 of the Super League pod, and with 2 full rounds of Super League to go through, settle in for another long show. We find out who the real cheats are, as enough is enough for our match officials on ruck indiscretions. We also learn who cried into their Easter eggs and who came out of the double round smiling. We've got your fan reviews, results from around the world of rugby league, and some snippets of news too. Buckle up the chin straps for this one, it's SLP time. Hello listeners, episode 218 of the Super League pod. It's me, Wigan fan Mark, and I'm joined this week for a second week in a row by Bradford fan Alan. Welcome back, Alan.
Thank you very much, and hello everybody. Back in the saddle yet again.
Yeah, I mean it's been over a week since we last spoke, but at the same time it feels like it's not been a week because there's been so many games for us to watch that it's just flown by, hasn't it? So,
yeah, bit of game fatigue, and didn't when Monday came around, didn't quite know where I was, but yeah, not too bad.
Fair enough. Do you want to, before we go any further, tell us who's sponsoring this episode of SLP?
Yeah, so this episode is sponsored by Rob's Toy Shop. Find a wide range of toys, gifts, rugby league birthday cards and more at Rob's Toy Shop on eBay. Visit stores.ebay.co.uk/Rob's Toy Shop. On any orders over £5, you can earn 5% cash back, and also 1% of your order value will go into the SLP coffers by putting SLP discount at checkout.
Excellent, that's great stuff. Thanks to Rob's Toy Shop for their support, continued support, and do support them in return over on eBay. On the show this week, we're going to focus on the games, aren't we, really? We're going to hit the news with minimal comment. The only thing that we are going to talk a little bit about in the news section is the rule clarifications that have been cleared up this afternoon by the RFL Match Officials Department and by the Super League as well. And then we've got 2 rounds of Super League to discuss. Most of the games have got multiple fan reviews. 2 lots of championship results to give out, plus loads of other results from around the world of rugby league as well. So that's what the main show is going to be about today, Alan. I think before we get into the show, I'll just give a little bit of an update. The cold turned into a bout of hay fever over the very sunny and wonderfully warm Easter weekend, so now I'm not sure where I'm at because 2 matches as well in such a short span, lots of shouting, throat a bit sore. I don't know where I'm at with the cold, but I feel like it's still there after 3 weeks. So there's a little update on the cold. I think we should give another little update as well on something me and you spoke about at the head of last week's show, and that was your wife's wonderful interview that she did with the director of the Power Mary film.
Yes, it's really good. It was, she came back like, I'm not sure how it sounds and all this kind of stuff because it's the first time she'd recorded anything face to face. But yeah, I thought it quality wise, it sounded really good.
Yeah, she did a cracking job. Good. She offered good insight as well as good questioning, and Joanna Lester was brilliant as well. I think they covered a wide range of themes and topics, and it's really good value that's out there. Wherever you're listening to this, go back and find the SLP short that we put up on Saturday over the Easter weekend. It is a short one. It is only 13 or 14 minutes long, so
it's a genuine SLP short, and you don't get that very often.
Exactly. And I suppose we should ask you how your Easter has been as well, surrounded by, your wife's burgeoning interview repertoire.
It's just stuff, yeah. Well, she's out yet again doing something today, and she interviewed Alice Roberts today. The Professor Alice Roberts, just a last minute thing. So yeah, she's her career is burgeoning. We had a nice Easter. We a late Christmas present from my mum and dad who took us to the Crucible to watch the snooker, which was a bit of
had a bit of action on the bays.
Yeah, it was a bit of a lifelong ambition, certainly for Anna. Kind of when she first got into snooker, when she was she was avoiding a GCSE revision actually, so that tells you how long ago it was. But yeah, we've always wanted to go. We've been to the UK Championship in York, but getting tickets for the Crucible is incredibly difficult. So kind of this time last year, my dad queued up for like 6 hours in the baking heat to get tickets. So yeah, I really appreciated that. That was excellent.
I bought them online, but dead early on. Like I was buying them as the one tournament was finished for the tournament the year after.
Yeah, you've got to be very prepared. You've got to kind of get what you're given. So yeah, it was a fantastic experience. Highly recommended. So I don't think I've got anything else for SLP recommend. So go to the Crucible. That's my recommendation.
Getting it out of the way early. Well, I must have gone. It must have been 6 or 7 years ago maybe that I went, but. We got a session that it was Ronnie versus Higgins, which was pretty cool.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah, well, we had we had Sean Murphy on one table, and he played brilliantly and kind of finished the session 9-0. But the other session was we were hoping to see the end of it, but that was the one that ended up being the longest frame in the history of the Crucible, the one that was like 70 odd minutes long, and that was finished well after we'd gone. We were home by then. But yeah, it was a really good experience, and hopefully we'll do it again at some point. But yeah, it was great.
Excellent. Well, one last thing to mention before we skip merrily into the news, and that is we've opened up a bit of a Rugby League fan survey. So if you go on to our Facebook page, Super League Pod, facebook.com/Super League Pod, or if you go onto our Twitter @Super League Pod, and I'll put it in the blog post for this episode as well, which will be superleaguepod.com. You can see a link to complete that. What we're kind of aiming for is to canvass the views of as many fans as possible. It is a really short survey. There's only, I think, 5 mandatory questions, 3 of which are score from 1 to 10, and then outside of that you can flesh it out with as much detail as you want to about your opinions. But basically, if we can really push this, get a lot of responses, then my plan would be to put something together to show to the powers that be. If they would give me the time of day. Now, for them to give me the time of day, we would need a lot of responses. So what I would ask of people, please, if you share anything of ours at this time, share the survey out, put it in your online forums that you're involved with for your clubs, put it in your Facebook pages that you're involved in for your clubs, all that sort of stuff. That would be really, really appreciated, because then what that means is we can get as many opinions as possible. What I am going to do is follow up the opinions in the next month or so to get a little bit more to put into my piece, and we're also going to run the same survey again in 6 months' time as the season comes to a close to see if opinions are still the same around things like game day experience, confidence in the board at your club, confidence in the RFL, and confidence in the leadership of the Super League, effectively, is what we're looking at. And then we'll see what we can sort of glean from that and see if we can help make sure that the powers that be, like I say, are hearing the fans' voices loud and clear. And we have a very sensible support base of this programme in particular. Whether outside of that, the general Rugby League fan base is quite as nailed on as most of us guys, that listen to this show are. Not us who do the show, but you guys that listen to the show. Not us. Then hopefully we can get some really well-rounded things put together there as well that cover the whole spectrum of the Rugby League fan base. So please do look out for that and share it. Very much would be appreciated. That's the opening taken care of. We're now going to go through the news. Don't expect a lot of views on the news like we said before, but we'll still tell you what's been happening all the same.
Right, so news in brief now from around the world of rugby league this week. And firstly, Wakefield forward David Fafita has signed a new 3-year contract with the club.
Hooker Kyle Wood has also agreed a new 3-year deal with Wakefield Trinity.
Maybe that's going to become the new. Instead of being witness 2 years, it's going to be away key at 3 years.
Well, Trinity, innit? So.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Hull FC halfback Mark Sneed, whatever you say, has agreed a new 3-year contract extension as well.
Wigan winger Tom Davies faces the rest of the season on the sidelines after suffering a dislocated and broken ankle. I think he broke both bones in the lower part of his leg as well as that. So that was a horror injury for him. Good luck to him in recovery.
Yep. Dewsbury have signed loose forward Ellis Robson on a month's loan from Warrington.
Lee have confirmed the re-signing of James Laithwaite until the end of the season, bringing the former Warrington and Toronto forward out of retirement.
Yeah, and Featherstone have signed halfback Dane Chisholm from Championship rivals Bradford on loan for the remainder of the year.
North Wales have signed utility back Dante Morley Samuels from fellow League One side Coventry. He decided the travel was too much for him.
In more League One, London Scholars have signed Romney Palumbo and Robert Tuilatu from West Wales for the rest of the year.
And more London Scholars signings. They've got John McGrin, Joe Brown and James Barron on loan, the former from Bradford, the latter two from Wigan Warriors.
And Whitehaven has signed halfback Jake Carter on a month's loan from Barrow.
And finally, we shall bring you the rules clarifications, Alan. So I'm just going to get this back up on my tablet. And,
yes.
It's been released by the RFL as amendments to the 2019 refereeing policy, and these additions/amendments have been introduced with immediate effect. So there's 4, and I'll read them all out, and then we can decide which player they should be named after. So, placing the ball on a defender lying on the ground. It is the responsibility of the player playing the ball to place the ball on the ground at their feet. If necessary, the player should step backwards to ensure this can be done. Outcome: if the ball is placed on the tackler, this will be ruled a knock-on. I will be calling this the Gigo rule, or the anti-Gigo rule, shall we say.
Yeah.
Moving off the mark / stepping over to deliberately place the defender in the ruck. It is the responsibility of the player playing the ball to place the ball on the ground at their feet and not to advance off the mark. If necessary, the player should step backwards. Outcome: the player in possession will be penalised for moving off the mark if deliberately stepping over a defender to place them at the ruck. I think there's no one player you can name that after. Every single team's been doing it this year. Playing the ball into a defender at the ruck, aka the Shenton-Leeming rule. This is
double barrel.
Oh no, that's the passing into opposing player. Hold on. Oh, this one. Sorry, I apologise. This one is definitely the Greg Bird rule. The Greg Bird rule, which is the player playing the ball should maintain balance and control when heeling the ball to the acting halfback. The outcome in this situation: the player in the ruck will be penalised if hit by the ball, or if, in the opinion of the referee, the halfback is prevented from picking up the ball. The exception to that outcome would be where a penalty is awarded against the player playing the ball if the ball is forcibly, aka whacked with the heel when he's never touched another ball with his heel before in his career, Greg Bird style, with the intention of contacting the defender with the ball. We've talked about this one quite a lot, so that one's a good one. And then this is the Shenton-Leeming rule: passing into an opposing player. Any ball passed into an opposing player in and around the ruck in any direction will be deemed to be acting against the spirit of the game. The outcome is that the passer will be immediately penalised.
Yeah, I mean, I think just for completeness, I think we should call the second one the Tompkins rule, because he's definitely done that this year.
I think the Tompkins rule would be where you fall over the player when you're the dummy half and you fall over the player. So,
but yeah, I mean, everyone's done it.
And that one is not quite covered, although it's sort of, I suppose, covered a little bit in the playing the ball into a defender in the ruck. But these are more about the player with the ball does rather than what the player trying to get to the ball does. So certainly the Tompkins McLaurin rule would have been if they ruled out just falling over behind the ruck because a player happens to be there. What do you make of all this then?
Well, it sounds like. I mean, I know we've obviously got the fans survey out to try and engage with the powers that be, but maybe they're already listening, because this is exactly what we've already talked about. And I know we're not alone in that by any means. Lots of people have been saying that, and a couple of clips on YouTube, on Twitter, kind of do wonders, don't they, in terms of